for NewsNation. We've been hanging out on the scene of this mass shooting / possible explosion that we first got wind of this morning. FDNY got the first call at 8:26 Eastern time, and that's when we first started to see reports on social media. We give you a walk around the scene right now before we get into too many of the details. You may have been watching the press conference on one outlet or another. Police just gave us an update. In fact, the governor of the state of New York, Kathy Hochul, stopped by to provide an update. That's because the mayor of New York City, Eric Adams, is being quarantined with COVID right now. The area you're looking at on your screen is the staging area that just got broken down, where media of all ilks were staged waiting for an update on this situation that transpired this morning. Right now, you can see the fire department moving some gear out of there. Still a heavy police presence down here. I would venture into the thousands of police and fire personnel. Right now, they're efforting reopening 4th Avenue and 35th Street. That intersection currently closed. It looks like 4th Avenue is blocked in multiple either direction. We've had a really hard time getting in and out of this area. Police have been warning all morning long for people to stay away. That's because this is still an active shooter situation. The suspect from this morning is still on the loose. We know at this point very little about the suspect, described as a black male around 5'5". We're being yelled at by police to get out of the side, left side, right side. Okay, either way, just out of the. Sorry. That's live digital television for you. Police trying to get 4th Avenue open right now, and we are in the way. Okay, yeah, we're moving. Okay, let's get back over on the sidewalk. Anyway, this is still an active shooter situation. 5'5", black male, dressed in a gas mask and some sort of construction vest. We're told it was green in color at the time of the incident. So here's what happened in case you missed the report. You're just waking up, you're tuning in on digital, trying to see what's going on. Around 8:30 a.m. this morning in Brooklyn, near the 36th Street subway station, FDNY received reports of some sort of smoke inside the subway. When they arrived on scene, they found multiple people shot and undetonated explosive devices on the scene. Moments ago, when we were getting our briefing from Governor Hochul and Police Chief Keechant Sewell, we were told that there are 18 people injured at this time. 10 of them have suffered gunshot wounds. 5 of them are injured critically. But at this point, it's believed none of those injuries are life-threatening. They've been taken to 3 area hospitals. Right now, if you kind of hear the background noise, there are choppers overhead as they look for this suspect. We had 4 of them over us during that press conference. But anyway, real quick, back to exactly what transpired this morning. So once FDNY got on scene, they immediately rendered aid to the people who were injured. Smartly, the conductor at that station tried to get everybody in there on the R train going the opposite direction to get innocent people out of harm's way. Now, as for the people on the N train where this incident took place, once it rolled into the station, we've seen video from a couple different people on Twitter who pointed out that the people in the car behind them were running out covering their faces as if there was some sort of smoke inhibiting their ability to breathe. Let's walk down 4th Avenue and get a little further away from this staging area, and you'll see just how far this police presence extends in this direction. There's a speedway 3 blocks up that's just been completely commandeered. The entire parking lot is full of police cars. It's actually where our news vehicle is. So anyway, once they discovered the injured people in the subway, it was just a matter of trying to figure out where the suspect was headed. But at this point, we don't have eyes on him because the surveillance cameras in that 36th Street station were not in operation. So they didn't see the guy come in. They didn't see the guy leave, which is probably why they haven't apprehended him yet. What we were told as to how the whole situation shook out was that a man on that N train had a bag. He placed the bag down, slipped a gas mask over his face, and then some sort of noxious fume started to spew out of the bag in the subway car, at which point the man opened fire. We still don't know if there is a weapon at large. We don't even know what sort of weapon was used. The police refused to comment on that when asked directly, saying it's an active investigation and there's no reason to give that information away at this time. Now, as we continue to walk down 4th Avenue here, just sort of sliding out of the way of the police presence, you can see these side streets are still blocked off as well. FDNY EMS support here to my right. Looks like they're trying to get 34th Street open as well. Let's do our best not to get by a car. Interestingly enough, this started out as a rainy morning in New York City. We were doing live shots across from the United Nations about the situation in Ukraine when we first started to get reports about this subway shooting. And then once we were finally off the air, we scrambled and drove down here to Brooklyn. It took about 35 to 40 minutes during rush hour. And as we were coming down, we were just getting passed left and right by these first responders, emergency vehicles, tactical units, unmarked black cars. When we got here, watching these guys suit up, you could tell immediately without anybody saying it, this was a manhunt. The choppers overhead, these guys in cars with full armored vests, assault rifles in their hands. I heard a lieutenant walk by and a police officer said to him, "Hey, Lieutenant, how many guns you got? One or two?" He said two. One of them was a long rifle. I mean, these guys know that this suspect is armed and dangerous somewhere in the city. We heard reports earlier this morning that the suspect may have been cornered and apprehended somewhere nearby, but it turns out it wasn't the right guy. So these choppers flying overhead are looking for that person right now. It's not like they're just doing it to provide some sort of sense of security to the area. If you look up and down 4th Avenue here, I mean, it's all police cars. I mean, I haven't seen a police presence like this in New York City since the last police funeral we attended at St. Cathedral after those officers were shot here in the city. I'd never seen so many police in one place until again this morning. If you're just joining us on the live stream, there was a shooting and some sort of explosion in the 36th Street subway station here in Sunset Park in Brooklyn this morning, just after or just before 8:30 a.m. At this point, we know 18 people have been hurt, 10 of them with gunshot wounds. The other people who are hurt are being treated with various shrapnel wounds, although we know at this point it's not because of an explosive device, or at least not believed to be. That shrapnel may be some sort of grazing from a bullet or something that a bullet hit, or perhaps abrasions when bumping into other people in an attempt to escape. But if you've seen the videos coming out of the subway station and the end line at that 36th Street stop this morning, you could see that people were exiting fairly calmly. I mean, there was some chatter, some screaming in the background, some concerned folks, but I was shocked to see just how orderly everyone was considering the situation. Now, granted, they might not have known just how serious it was, and we still haven't seen any video of that suspect, not just from surveillance video, but from somebody else. The point of the matter is, though, is that with this enormous presence down here, the governor coming out, the chief of police, and the governor said this herself, somebody watching today, watching that press conference, watching the news coverage of this event is going to know something, and they're likely to be the ones who helped police bring this suspect in. It was just so sad to see, if you were watching that press conference, the head of the MTA up there talking about just how personal all of this was, and just how tough it is for him to see people in the subways running out in a crisis situation like it was 9/11. I mean, he says he was there on 9/11 watching people leave in one of the worst days in the history of our country. And he says he hasn't seen that or had that feeling again. The car is another 2 blocks up. We'll just continue to give you a little bit of a lay of the land here. You can tell maybe, in the background, if you're kind of seeing police movement, they're pushing us out of here. They want us further away from that 36th Street station. I mean, this is still not just an active shooter situation because they don't have the shooter, but it's an active scene. White lines have largely stations, but the commute is still going to be hung up all day. 1 million New Yorkers use the subway on a typical day. It's going to be a situation where one car being late leads to another car being late, so on and so forth. We've been told by the police that we're expecting another press conference coming up here in the afternoon. We don't have a time just yet. We're expected to get more information then. At this point, the info that we have is sort of spotty. It's a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but I don't think they want to give away too much of their investigation, because tipping off this person as they try to get out of town or keep low might be really counterintuitive to the goals the NYPD is hoping to accomplish here. We're going to keep it right here on NewsNation throughout the day. Tom Negevin, our evening reporter based in New York, is here on the scene. I was just chatting with him a minute ago. He's working on putting together a piece about the suspect himself, or at least what we know about him at this time. I'll get you up to speed with all the nuts and bolts in the situation. If you follow breaking news on any form of social media before, you know these stories change. The numbers get updated. Fortunately, no fatalities yet. If there is an update to pass, make sure to have that for you as well. And as these details come in for our newsroom, we'll pass them on our social media channels and my social media channels as well. Paul Gerke on Twitter. Thank you for stopping by and watching. We will get you an update when when we can. Thanks a lot.